Alright, we are officially live. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. It's been a bit because of vacations and stuff, but we are back. And do I remember what I was doing? I was setting up these little artillery outposts out here. And we were, I guess, just doing this. Just watching these to make sure that everything worked properly. So we have this artillery, which should clear out a lot of this area if we have the shells for it. Which, how many shells do we have in logistic storage? Currently, 0. That is not good. Alright, let's leave that. It looks like the defenses there are enough. So let's run back and figure out what we can do about making enough shells. Because that is going to be an issue if we are not producing that many of them. Alright, so we can go up here, and I believe the artillery production was just like a small temporary setup here. Yeah. So it is going as fast as, well, as fast as one machine with only Mark II modules can. So let's upgrade that. And it looks like the explosives input is an issue. But not like much of one, maybe. So we should be able to just speed these up too. Like that. And just have them going. And hopefully that'll provide enough explosives, and hopefully it won't use up a massive amount of, sulfur and coal. But neither of those are terribly difficult, I don't think, to get. So we should be fine. We're still very short on speed modules. That was the other thing that was going on in the background of all this. How is it going? It's not going well. We are producing productivity modules for some reason. I guess they just keep being used. We're also... Okay, these guys are output full. They've got productivity modules. Oh, okay. So this has actually just failed. So the first row is trying to make these, and the second row has no recipe set. So why don't you have a recipe set? I just walk over there real quick to have a stare at it. Alright, so we get hit by a train. Unfortunate. Alright, back in Factorio, instantly get hit by a train. Classic. Alright, so let's run up there and pick all that stuff up. Get over there. So not exactly the most direct path out of the spawn point. Alright, now we can head over here. And we need to equip that and then pick this up. And not accidentally dismantle the train tracks, that's important. Alright, now we move on. And modules are just over here and a little bit south. Almost got hit again. That would have been catastrophic. Get hit twice in like 3 minutes. Alright, so here we are. And so we have these, which are set to make productivity modules. We have these, which should be finishing off the speed modules, but instead aren't set to anything. Okay, so the input signals are 10 of that. Okay, but that wasn't set. Oh, so this is the problem. Is that it stopped in sort of a weird spot where there's still some left in the system. There's still some left in the system, but it isn't, like, doing anything. So, how do we prevent that from happening? We need to make sure that this drains. We need to make sure that this will drain the last bit out, if it has some. Okay, so this... No, it's not that. It's not that we want. How do we do this? We need to set it so that if the box is empty... No, we need to set it so that if this is deactive, or... Wait. No, I have no idea how to do this, actually. For now, we're just going to pick those up manually. And so that will get it working here temporarily. I don't know how to actually fix the root cause of that, though. Yeah, I have no idea what to do about that. Maybe we need to, like, drain this belt somewhere if this is locked, then we need to, like, drain this belt off to somewhere somehow. I don't know how to do that, and I don't really want to be standing here staring at it either. It's not really in the mood for circuit shenanigans today. Instead, I want to... Let's see, so we have explosive production. I want to just make the proper artillery shell thing. So we have explosives, we have radars. Do we have explosive cannon shells? We do. Alright, so I can make a square that will make artillery shells. And then that will make sure that we always have enough of those. So let's just find a spot for it, which I guess can be... is this square here gonna work? No, because we've got that thing there. This whole area is sort of annoying and convoluted with random spaces that we can't build in. Like here we can't do anything because of this stone mine. But I don't know if I don't know how much I care about the stone mine, or what we might want to do is we might want to just like have a huge storage array. So if I have a lot of boxes in here, like that, and then we can connect all those up like that, and then put in some power poles. And let's see here. If we just like alternate like this, then that might be able to work. So what I want to have happen here is I want to be able to just drain out as much of the stone as possible. And just fill all these boxes with it. Now each box can store apparently 1.6k. So this isn't going to be enough, but theoretically this will empty out this a little bit faster. And then if we speed module all of these that are still functional, then we can get that going even quicker. And hopefully that'll work. And also hopefully we just have something that we're doing with all this stone. So what are we doing with all this stone? Let's see here. You have one train, and you go up here to this stone output, which just makes these. And landfill as well. Alright, let's try to use up a ton of stone. So, what else can I make out of stone? There's like more of these types of things, right? So we have regular concrete. Fine concrete is so complicated though, and it's like marginally faster. Yeah, okay, I think we're just gonna ignore that. We're just gonna build our artillery thing and not worry about that stone. It'll drain eventually. Also, this is out of drone range somehow. Well, it won't be in a minute because I'm building a square here. Alright, so let's just pop that in like that. And I hope that I got it all lined up correctly. And now we just have to get the drones building stuff and connecting all this up to power, which apparently needs to happen manually. We need a power line to go in to like any of these various places. There we go. So now it's all charging up. Power, by the way, still doing fine. Got more than twice the production we need. And the drones are going in. Alright, so all the stuff is getting built. And eventually we will be able to make the box for this. So what were we making? We wanted to make artillery shells, which is just 3 inputs and technically 1 output, but I don't even know if we're going to use that. I think we might just put it into dimensional storage, or not dimensional storage, drone storage. Keep talking like I'm playing satisfactory terms. Drones are not dimensional storage. They are very different. And speaking of which, we still have plenty of both types of drones available. And we haven't run out of anything. Alright. Drones are doing drone things. And it looks like the square is finished. So now we just need train unloaders. So that goes in there. And this can be set to... Oh, gotta click search first. Explosives input. Alright. And then we connect that up to power. Then we go up here. And this is explosive. Oh, so this has to actually be a new one because I've never used it before. So this is explosive shell input. And we're going to need to make a train for it. Also, are those set to train limit of 1? Yes, they are. And then over here, this one we are going to set to radar input. Alright, so now we just need some trains. So first of all, the explosive train. There's the train. And there's that. We're going to need a refueler in all of these. Yes, I know there's a wall in the way. Just build over the wall. Alright, did that even work? No, this is too far back. As I thought it might be. So now we build it there. And we are going to fuel you up. Set you to... Do I even have an explosives group? No. Although there's another train set to this stop, right? Yes, there's you. So you are going to be called explosives set. And then this gets added to explosives. And off you go. That's one down. So now over here, we need to get in the unloader and the refueler. Then we need a train, which this will be the first train taking this route. So that train is in, and we need to wait for it to be fueled. So this adds station, explosive shell output, explosive shell input. Output until full cargo or 2 minutes. Input until empty cargo. That should be good. And then we're going to make this a group, even though it's the only one. So that's that. And then we just need to fuel you up. Now you can go off and do your thing. Then we go over here. And put in one more of those. And one more refueler. We're going to need to connect that up to power. And then put the train in. Two, 3, and 4. And you are also going to need to be set up from scratch because we haven't used the radars for anything yet. So we go radar output, radar input. Go to the output until full cargo or 120 seconds, and the input until empty cargo. And then we can set you to automatic. Oh, wait. That's important. We need to do that. Okay, then you get fuel, and we need to find the trains here. And yes, they've been traveling for 20 seconds, and there's already an issue. So we have to give the explosives group the interrupt, and we have to give this group the interrupt. Now, I think I saw a train stopped in the middle of an intersection there, but hopefully that's not actually an issue and it just was resolved somehow. Let's check. Alright, I don't see anything that looks like a train in the middle of an intersection, although I do see this. What has happened here? So you... okay. So you are here, but you can't go forwards because going forwards would be in yellow. Of course it is. Alright, so first of all, this train track does nothing. I think it just needs to be removed. And now if we just do that, will that work? Actually, we'd probably better make that a path signal. And get rid of that weird extra there. Alright, I put a... Oh, yeah, no, it is going in. Alright, we seem to have managed it. Probably. Yes. So now that's actually just waiting for a different thing, and it should be able to get through once all those trains are through. Alright, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Deadlock stopped. Copper supply has been unbroken. Alright, now what are we doing here? The explosives have shown up. The explosive shells have shown up. We're waiting on radars, but they are right about to show up now. Alright, that is pretty dang convenient. So now we just need an assembler row, which is that using old assemblers? It is. Alright. And we definitely don't need that many assemblers for this. We just need a couple like that. Should be fine. Set you all to artillery shells. And then we just don't go underneath the trees. It's very important that you not do that. Then we need our belts, like so. Okay, I took slow inserters out of my hotbar, so I need to clear that and just replace them with fast inserters, which I'm going to be using for everything now. Alright, so these... get all of those in. And then we get an input and an output. Okay, please overwrite the trees. And now we just put the power lines in like that. Alright, so that should be basically all the hard work. Now we just have to drag these belts in, line everything up, and we'll be good to go. So explosives can go in... Actually, they can go over here and then up, like that. So now the explosive shells can come down here, and just twist around like that and go in. And then finally, we take this and put that in like that. Renegade, hello. We are finally getting around to actually like proper expanded production of artillery shells, so that we don't ever run out. So we have a good couple of these now. And I assume that these count as a final product, so they can't be productivity moduled. And I'm sort of low on speed modules at the moment. So I think let's just... Oh, these belts need to go a little bit longer in order to stack properly, it looks like. Either that or I just copy-pasted it weird. Alright. And that power line got in the way, so we're going to need to take that out and replace it. And then somehow we missed a spot in our blueprint. So now they're all powered on, and we have a very large number of artillery shells, which should be enough to just supply all of the stuff that we could ever need. So now we pop that in, power it up, and there we go. So I don't even know if we're currently using that many, but we want to just have this box nice and full of shells, so that if we ever need them, we have plenty. Alright, now we can be concerned about those guys. So this is going to be our first use of the new artillery shells. So first we need defenses. So we're going to put this in here, I guess. Somewhere where we can build walls around it. And also a whole... So we're going to basically do this just like that. And then we get them all powered on and bring the power lines back to there. And now that whole thing is powered up. So next we get a row of actual walls to protect the laser turrets. And apparently we need a drone port, because I cleverly built this just out of range of that. So we can have that in like that, and give it a couple laser turrets just in case. Alright, so now this should just receive... Oh, I boxed myself in here. That's fine, we can just step out. So now this should receive artillery from down here. And can I set this? What have I done? Why is that what you're requesting? I must have copy-pasted something wrong. Alright, so you can request a whole bunch of artillery shells. I guess 10 at a time should be good. I don't know why it requested all that other stuff. Alright, and I don't... Yeah. Why did you do that? Give me those back. So where are the actual drones carrying artillery? Here they come. Now, one concern is that they might ignore the artillery cannon and just move out to the base behind us. Hopefully that won't happen. We finished researching the atomic bomb. That's exciting. Can I research this? I think so. Alright. I'm apparently getting a massive resupply of various things, which is a bit dangerous this close to where biters are about to be in like 5 minutes. Yep, here they come. And the laser turrets are activated. So, I think we just probably copy this blueprint. Why? Yeah, why did they deliver all that stuff? I really don't want them to do that. So what I want to eventually do is have another outpost like out here somewhere to keep them further away from my pollution cloud, basically, is the idea there. But I have to clear the space between here and there first, obviously, otherwise all sorts of problems could happen. Okay. There were some alerts there. They seem to have disappeared. So that's probably fine. And we have plenty of artillery, so the ammunition is no longer a problem. We do probably need more of these, though, because I don't have those automatically crafting anywhere. Alright. Down here is looking much better. We might need another one even further out. But at least we're probably never going to be out of artillery anymore. So this has all the ammo it needs and it just has nothing in range to shoot at. So that's good, and then we're just going to head out here to, I guess, like around that stone patch and set up another artillery piece. So in order to get out there, we're going to need a power line and a line of drone ports. So let's bring the power line out. Alright, there is some biters out here still. So we have the power line. So now we need to just, I guess, pop down drone ports on the way back. It's a bit weird doing it that way, but it'll be more convenient, I think. Alright, so then they're connected up to the main drone line. And now what we can do is we can just copy that. Just get that extra power line on the outside just in case it's important for something. And drag it up here. And you can go, I guess the further out the better, although we don't want it to be within range of the worms. So you can just go there, probably. Alright, it did end up being within range of the worms. Is this even remotely useful? No, this is pretty much a catastrophe. So we're going to need to put those guys out to get rid of the worms and prevent them from just shooting away at this artillery piece forever. Yeah, I really wish you could tell more easily where exactly these were going. Alright, so that's in, and it is getting some artillery delivered at some point. But apparently needed to get that in because it's using slow inserters, which I don't have on my person anymore, because I can just use fast inserters for most things. Alright, well this is set up, and it should just work. I mean, like, there shouldn't be any problem here. I want to get rid of those, just because they're very exposed and could probably just be destroyed in any attack because they don't have walls or anything. Whereas this setup back here is actually secure enough to take the attacks. Alright, they keep somehow hitting a accelerator thing, which I don't even know where I have an accelerator thing for them to hit. Like, where is that? Is that this? Yes. Alright. Did someone just put a laser turret there? Thank you. How did you even get into there in the first place? Also, I was standing out in front of this, which is somewhat of a dangerous spot to be standing. Alright, the laser turret is in, and the biter goes down. Cool. Now we just have to worry about all this. So this is going to be taking biter attacks. And I have to stand here and help defend it, because I don't think it has enough repair bots to be able to hold up to that otherwise. Alright, so this is getting more deliveries. I did see a wave of biters go past us. I don't know where they ended up, but hopefully that's fine. Alright, artillery is firing along. And this should be mostly cleared out. Actually, can I just pop a radar in here? Do I have radars in my inventory? Yes, I do. Alright, congratulations. You have a radar. Don't know if that's necessary, but it might be a little helpful for keeping track of how things are going up here. Alright, the biters did not seem to have the best movement strategies that time. It looks like they got distracted by the power poles, actually. That's pretty neat. Which does remind me, there are, like, fancy things you can do with walls to, like, mess with biter pathing. Like, you can just do something like this, I think, and it helps a little bit. It just, like, messes with their pathing so that they have a hard time getting to the walls. We'll see if that makes an improvement. Obviously, if these are mostly spitters, then it won't really change much. But it does mean they're shooting at those instead of, like, at the laser turrets, which is very, very helpful in itself. Because walls are more easy to replace than laser turrets. Alright, I'm going to say that this is probably secure. We fired a good couple volleys and nothing bad has happened. Although it doesn't have any repair packs on site, which is a serious issue. Let's see if they just continue going after those power lines. Let's take those power lines out. They are not needed. Oh, you're firing backwards. Didn't even realize there was anything back there. Just a couple of worms, it looks like. Not an actual nest. That's fine. Alright, I like this sort of outer wall square thing that I have here. Let's expand that around a little bit more to prevent them from getting any ideas about flanking maneuvers. And then we can just blueprint this as an artillery outpost. Don't spell artillery stupidly. So now we have this, and it seems to be pretty effective at clearing out this area. And that is that. So now we should be able to just leave that alone and not worry about it. Obviously, if it does get attacked, we'll need to worry about that later. Alright, I'm getting alerts that... Oh, it's just this. Not having a speed module or whatever. Those are getting built still, right? If we go down here, these are churning away at making speed modules. And yeah, there they go. They're still being made as we speak. So that's neat. And the artillery is definitely not having any problems. We've got plenty of everything, it looks like. Alright, how do you make an atomic bomb? Do I even need this? And also, what is all that? Alright, that's just this being attacked, but it looks like it held. Although we lost a lot of construction bots in the process. Nuke them till they glow and shoot them in the dark. Yeah, maybe. I feel like the artillery is just working pretty well, though. I wish... Okay, so the problem with these sort of outpost squares is that it is like luring all the drones out to repair them, and then we're losing drones. Have you tried uranium ammo in the turrets? I have not. Have I even unlocked that? Did I? Yeah, I haven't even unlocked that. Can you do uranium artillery ammo? It looks like it's just guns and cannon shells. Yeah. I don't really use those. I use laser turrets for everything, so it's a good way of using up the spare bad uranium, but why wouldn't you just recycle it into the good uranium, though? There's so much recycling stuff that you can do. It's not actually bad. It's just different uranium. I mean, I have all this. Like, we have no shortage. We have no shortage of this. Yes, we have all this, but I don't think we need it really, because it just gets recycled very slowly through the centrifuge. I do have a lot of storage. Make uranium bullets. Yeah, the problem is that I literally just never use gun turrets. So, like, I would make all those uranium bullets and then they just sit in storage all the time. So I don't know, like, if I were doing this differently and I used a lot of gun turrets, then that might be helpful. I think it's just not for me right now. Alright. Yeah, we're losing a lot of drones up here, which shouldn't be much longer. We should be almost at the point where this has fired at everything in its range, you would think. I mean, it's been going for a while. It scales into late game against behemoths. That's good to know, although laser turrets. They're just so convenient, and you can just spam down like 1,000 of them and not worry about it. It's great. Alright, speaking of laser turrets, is this the spot where we keep losing turrets? Yes. Alright, so we need to then head down there and set up a sort of advanced artillery post like we'd done there as well. So let's head over there. I really do not like them being that close to getting through my defenses that they're like knocking holes in the walls. Because like if they get through that wall down there, then they are just straight into here with very little else that I can do about it. Except for I guess all these random laser turrets that sort of might act as a backup. Alright, so let's get through here. And we need to bring drone coverage with us, which is going to need power. Fortunately, we have, I think we put a radar out here at some point because I wanted to figure out what radars do. So we do already have a convenient power line. So this is going to go out here, and I guess we could just like control this choke point basically. So let's go up here a little bit more. And drone coverage a little bit more. Okay, and we don't want to get too close. We just want to set this up. Actually, we can just overwrite that drone port. And that gets popped in. And alright. Once again, underestimated the range of the worms. So there you go. Laser turrets just get spammed. And is that going to get all of them? Should get at least the closer ones. And then we just go there. Oh no, we did get those. Alright, I keep thinking I'm going to build this back out of range of the worms, and what always ends up happening is just out of range of my lasers to shoot the worms, and within range of the worms. So next time I should just build up right in the worm's face, so that my lasers can definitely shoot them. Alright, so now, once this gets its artillery, we should wipe out all of those guys. Don't have a rocket launcher. I think I can craft one, probably. Yes, I can. But I've never made any rockets. I should probably do that at some point. It seems like a neat thing to have access to. I definitely don't need all these random pistols. Go away. Can I actually just set this to 0? Thank you. Rocket launchers outrange the worms. Alright, that's good to know. Is there... There isn't like a rocket artillery thing anywhere, probably. Probably not. There is, however, the atomic bomb. Alright. Anyways, this is set up. They added some fancy rocket turrets in Space Age. Ooh, that's good to know. Might have to check that out. Alright, so this should basically have this area secure, because they would have to punch through this in order to even try to attack my base, and it's going to be hard for them to do that when they get artillery shelled for being too close. Alright, so we're just going to leave that and assume that it's fine, and when it inevitably isn't fine, then we'll have to come back and panic fix it. We've got a lot of drones here trying to deliver me stuff. I'm just going to stop here a bit so that they don't get stranded in the middle of nowhere. And there we go. Yeah, just not a lot of important stuff. We're maybe used a fair number of repair packs. We're almost done with catching up on the speed modules, so that's pretty cool. Remember, it seemed like we had infinity of those that we had to craft. Alright. Now this is being attacked. Did it hold out? It did. Although, hopefully, some repair packs will be coming soon. Some of that stuff is a bit dicey. There's got to be more repair coming. Yeah, there's plenty of repair. It'll be fine. Alright, so now we can just head back through here And those walls are now just sort of a backup system as opposed to the only line of defense. And at some point, I need to just sit down and make a rocket. So let's craft a rocket silo, I guess. We've been sort of putting it off for a while, but I should probably get around to it at some point, and this seems like as good a time as any. We are relatively secure at the moment with our new fancy turrets. So let's find a spot for it. We can actually do this in some of the areas that we can't use because of resource patches, like this stone patch over here, which is annoyingly like spaced directly between two squares, so I can't build either of them. But I could just put a rocket silo in here. So we need a whole lot of steel, a whole lot of all sorts of things. I assume you can craft those in an assembling machine, just so I don't have to probably take like a year to manual craft it. So then we have our requester chests, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inputs for this. So we need steel beams, and like a lot of it. We need blue circuits, and a lot of it. I don't know how much, but we're going to give a couple hundred each. Then we need electric motors, and probably quite a lot of those. We need pipes. So let's get those in. And then we need concrete. Now, I'm pretty sure we're producing all of these things. I don't know if we have all of them connected to logistics networks. Alright, where are you getting destroyed? Down here? Oh, I see. Those defenses are pretty sparse. Alright, so if you're getting attacked like that, let's get in another like 20 billion laser turrets, just so that we can get rid of the biters sooner, so hopefully they don't get all the way to destroying them. Alright, now we just have to start bulk inserting all of these, and eventually this will get done. So, do we even have all of these? We have those, we have those. Alright, we have 9 engine units on the way, 0 in logistics storage. So that's not great. And then pipes and concrete should be fine. So these processing units, we've got plenty. So it's the electrical engine units which are going to be the problem. Now, if I recall correctly, that's because we are only producing them in one place, and it's down here. Okay. This is output full. So you can become a passive provider chest, and that should resolve those problems. Hopefully. Now, how many of those do I even need? Like 200? So that's a lot. It's not like an impossible amount. You might want to speed module those to get them going faster. because currently they're productivity moduled, and that's just going to take like a year. How do I remember there was a hotkey you could use to do that manually. Alright, so now we're doing that. And eventually they'll start going faster. They don't look like they're short on any inputs, so they should get speed moduled and then just go. So it has the steel plates, it has the pipes. Working on the concrete. Processing units are like weirdly slow. Why is it only sending like 3? We have plenty of spare logistics bots, and we have plenty in logistics storage. Yep, we are doing it. We've finally gotten around to building the rocket silo. Now, I don't know what we need to put into the rocket silo to actually make a rocket. You're doing white science? I'm probably going to get around to doing that. I don't intend to just immediately finish as soon as we've technically finished the game. There's still a lot to do in the save. But we are getting around to making the rocket silo, because I think that would be fun. Seriously, what is taking processing units so long? Like, it's hardly delivering any. But we have plenty, theoretically. Is it that they're just very far away? It could be that the nearby source is empty, and we're taking all of our... Where actually do we make those? Are they made somewhere in here? Yeah, they're made somewhere in here. Okay, but it said I had like a couple hundred in logistics storage. So where did those all go? Yeah, it says I have 765 somewhere. I've got 100 in my inventory. $131 of those is almost enough, and it's more than half. Processing units, I don't know what's going on there. I'm just going to throw some of my personal inventory in to get that accelerated up. And we're just gonna probably have to leave this. Let's see, a laser turret is being damaged. Where is that? It's up here. Yeah, that's fine. Not really concerned about that. There's not exactly much danger up there. Alright. So this is still loading up. It's got everything but the electrical engine units and the processing units. So what is going on with the processing units? Where are they actually being stored? And why are they not being retrieved? Are they just like in a storage chest somewhere, maybe? That could be it. It could be just in a logistic storage chest somewhere obscure. I wonder if there's a way of telling like where it's actually physically being stored, because it's not in here, that's for sure. So this is still doing its whole thing where it produces very few blue circuits, and then they all get sucked up by other trains. And I think you'd expect this to be going better. We're almost done on electrical engine units. Processing units basically still MIA. I mean, we're getting 3 at a time. Logistics storage is now down to 600. Alright, now I have another 100 in my inventory. So I guess we can just keep doing that manually. And we have filled up that. And we are just 5 engine units short here. So that shouldn't be that long at all. In fact, they're probably... yeah, there's already that many on the way. And it's running. Alright, so this is going to fill up. And I'm going to assume for now that we're probably not going to need more than one of these. As fun as that would be, let's just dismantle all of those and grab that. Alright, now we just place that down. Okay. So this makes rocket parts, processing units, low density structures, and rocket fuel. And it makes rocket parts. Okay, I don't know how many of these we need. But can this be productivity moduled? It can. Haha, that's efficient. Alright, so we need... I think we made low density structures and processing units. We have those. So now the question is just rocket fuel. So how do you make rocket fuel? Solid fuel and light oil. Well, that's easy enough. Alright, so let's just keep doing this mainly via drone, just because it's easier. Although we are going to have to go over to somewhere with access to light oil to make the rocket fuel, which is just down here. Okay, so we're down here. And we've got this light oil here. So let's just make a line of these guys. And you are going to make rocket fuel. And then we are going to rotate pipes so that that goes in there. And then we have a belt which can go down here. I have to take that out. And actually that wasn't connecting anything that wasn't already connected, so we can just leave that out and worry about getting these powered up in a minute. So those get inserters, and then they get outputs. Then we get a requester chest here for solid fuel. And probably going to want a lot of it, a decent amount of it. And then a provider chest there for the rocket fuel. And let's have these be bulk inserters, because why not? So now we're just waiting on this, which should be getting delivered any second now. We have plenty of solid fuel. It's in basically every single train square. We've got like a billion of it. It's just a matter of when the drones will show up with it. And then how fast are these? They're pretty slow. They're pretty slow, and they use a lot of solid fuel. And a lot of light oil, but that's fine. So this is like 10 to 1-ish. Can I... Productivity module U. Just to be a little efficient. Although that'll also make it half as fast. Which is probably fine. Alright, so we have that. Now we can head up here. And then we can just requester chest the rocket fuel in. Let's see, how does this gonna work actually? If we just bulk inserter there, you request rocket fuel, and get powered up. Then we need a couple of these. I think it's 3 inputs. So you need a processing unit input, which currently not working. And then you also need a low density structure, which we did set up a whole system for. So this is going to take quite a while to make any of these. It's not clear how many it needs to make one cycle. We have 11 rocket fuel now. So, how is this going? It's got all the inputs it could ever want, it's just very slow. And realistically, the inputs are not that great either. Alright, so we're going to need to head down there and like dramatically accelerate that. And also make sure to siphon some off to go into the drone network no matter what. And that's actually probably more important. Alright, so let's just take a passive provider chest there and there. And just grab that so that the drone network will always have some of these. And we don't need this to be a huge amount, just like a couple each. And this is going to basically completely brick all of our other factories that rely on these until this is working. But that's fine because we are doing something more important than all that other stuff. So, now, do we want to make this go faster? I mean, the problem is the red circuits are still not exactly in massive supply, which means that it's actually going to be a bit difficult to make this go all that much faster. But we should be able to get at least a little bit done. So we can make this we can make this row longer first of all. So let's cut all this stuff out and just copy paste that down further. Like so. Okay, then that has to twist around into that. And then we have to bring the green circuits down. Like that. And then we need to get the sulfur connected across, which just goes down like that. Doesn't do weird stuff with the pipes. Now we go underground over to there. And then immediately underground again. Actually, wait, no, this needs to not immediately go underground. It needs to curve around a little bit and then connect up like that. Alright, so now this line is longer, which means we should be making more blue circuits, which means that this should be marginally faster. We could add an additional row, but hopefully it won't be necessary now that we're prioritizing drone network blue circuits over train system blue circuits. We should be able to get a good solid supply up here. Yeah, we have enough blue circuits. We have rocket fuel shortage. Seems to be the main issue at the moment. Fortunately, that is pretty easy to upgrade. Since we're not low on any of the components, we can just head down here and just stretch this out somehow. Actually, the space is really more of the concern than anything else. So we need to find the space to do this properly. So if we just make a row in here, not going offline like that. So we just have a nice long row like that. Then we have this buffer chest, which is apparently just an absolute shambles. That is also very much in the way, but it's fine. We can work around that. So this is going to be the side that the pipes go on. And then we set that. Rotate all these guys around so that they get the light oil residue from that pipe. Then we have that go along like that. And we have another one go along like that. Then we have our row of inputs. And that should work there. We're going to try just skipping underneath the power pole that time. We have a row of outputs. Oh, did I just... No, that's fine. That's a good place for that to be. Alright, now we have our power lines. All this all hooked up. And now we just take from this same box over into there and bulk inserter. How does that not have power? Please get powered. Alright, so now however many of those can handle it are going to receive the solid fuel. And then they go into a provider chest. Okay, finally we just attach the pipes together and we're good to go. then the other thing I want to do is make that a much higher request so that we have more drones doing it at a time, which will actually result in the overall throughput being higher, because there'll be more drones in the air to fulfill the request. Alright, so now we have solid fuel. I have no idea if we have enough solid fuel to sustain this like over an extended period of time, but we have somewhat massive logistic storage reserves of it, so it should be fine. So we've got these ones running, and I do think I probably, just based on how it's clearly constrained by the amount of solid fuel available, productivity modules will actually make it go quicker. So we can put those in, and now we are cooking with rocket fuel, I guess. I was going to say cooking with gas, but technically it's light oil and solid fuel. Alright, so this is going along nicely now. Looks like the solid fuel might be able to keep up running all of these, assuming that the big bursts like that happen pretty soon. Or if it remains like a long, stable input. Alright, we have rocket fuel. It's going. Gosh, I love drones. I think like it might be the play to just like try to use exclusively drones for everything for like a future save. Have that be what I'm trying to do, because they are just so incredibly convenient. It would be more complicated using them exclusively as opposed to having trains and stuff for like high throughput stuff, but it might be interesting to try at least. Just try to use drones for everything possible, not rely on anything else unless it's necessary. Like, I think having trains bring in like ores and stuff is just unavoidable. There's nothing you could really do about that. But all the internal stuff, I mean, we have like some stone production in the old factory that's like the concrete for walls or something are being fed by drones, and it's working perfectly fine. So we go over here. Rocket production is up to 19%. And it's just a question of the rocket fuel. I mean, low density structures and blue circuits are both doing fine. So yeah, it's just going to be a question of getting the rocket fuel in, and then we can launch a rocket and finish the game, technically. Although, again, I don't think we're going to stop dealing with this save immediately after launching the rocket. I'm going to try to do some of the future stuff. You haven't done that yet? Nope, this is the first rocket that I am setting up. I don't even know how it works, but I assume once the rocket progress reaches 100%, then you win. Did you research space science? I think so. No, you have to send a satellite to orbit in order to do that, so. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing, right? We're launching a rocket so we can send a satellite to orbit so that we can research space science and get started. You didn't play the Space Age? Well, yeah, this is just vanilla. So. Oh, they changed the text since then? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I don't have the DLC. It might have been like an update that came with Space Age that changed things. If it's different. Yeah, I bet that when they released Space Age, they also released an update which changed things around, like in how you get there, and that's probably what happened. Alright, so that is going along. Spidertron is also going along, although much more slowly. But you know it, launching a rocket makes the silo output the space science. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, actually, do you need to... They're saying, like... Rocket cargo, allowed items, satellite. Okay, so I'm going to have to craft one of those too, probably. Which looks relatively simple. Aside from the fact that it needs 50 billion different things, that's what drones are for. It's simple in the sense that we have production of all those things already. So let's get that set up. Rocket launch products, 1,000 space science packs. Yes. So that's what we have to do. Alright, request for chests. How many things does this need? It needs 6. That's so many. Alright, so we get all of these in. And we have to get them all powered up. It's used for the infinite tier research. Yeah, I think that is still how it works. So if we go to space science, then we have all these require white science. Alright, so we need processing units and low density structure. Yeah, the laser damage. Laser damage being able to get even higher than it currently is would be pretty neat. So this one also needs rocket fuel, which is going to be a bit of a problem. Yeah, definitely is going to be nice having all the lasers be better. Where is solar panels? And let's see here. We have accumulators. And we have radars. Where are the radars? They're over in military. Did you do any solar? I did a little bit of solar down here before I had nuclear. But I never really went crazy with it. I was mostly using like coal and solid fuel and stuff even then. But I do have some. I have it automated and everything. But I just, like, this is most of the solar in the entire map, basically. Obviously not that much. Alright, I guess you can just output to a box so that I'll be able to see immediately that it's done without having to constantly stare at it. This is still going. Oh, hang on. We seem to have a traffic jam over here. Alright. Why are you in the middle of the intersection? Get chain signals. Thank you. Oh, and this tiny thing here might have also been part of the cause, I think. I'm pretty sure at one point I decided that I needed to go through and remove all of these. Okay, so let's start dragging these guys out of the intersection until things start working again. So you go over there and back to automatic mode. Then we have to go down here. Actually, this might get you going. Yes. Alright, so now that you're going, that should unstick that entire situation. And then this was another guy who was sitting in an intersection, which means that, yes, as expected, there are needs for chain signals there, and again, I think we remove that. Alright. So that is resolved, and hopefully whatever horrible problems happened as a result of that will disappear. In the meantime, we seem to have run out of light oil. Okay, wait, no, it's working again. I think we needed to have a train pull out some petroleum gas or something. Yeah, this train is here loading up now, which keeps this whole system running. Alright, a little bit weird, but it's working again. And we're having some losses down here on this corner. Still, somehow, continues to be a problem. Alright, I'm just going to head down there and place some forward artillery outposts so that that stops being an issue. Because I would rather not constantly be losing laser turrets to attacks like that. It's going to be a bit of a trek, but also we are just sort of waiting for the rocket stuff to finish. So it's not exactly super urgent that we stay around and stare at numbers slowly go up over the course of like an hour. Alright, so down we go. We are now in the approximate area. Yeah, I definitely feel like I drastically overdid it here. And, you know, that's what happens when you don't really know what you're doing and how much is needed. I definitely could have gotten away with a lot smaller and more efficient. But, you know, building large is also fun. But the fact that I was building large and also not knowing what I'm doing, so I'm constantly making mistakes, is definitely not an ideal combination. Alright, so we are going to just head down here. How far out do we want to get? Pretty far out, I'd say. Okay. At this point, it's a bit sketchy on like if we'll be able to build safely. So now we turn around and head back. Connect up the drone ports. And we have this, which I guess we just put in like that. Alright, so it all gets built. And the lasers are online. This needs to be set up like that. Technically would probably just get the slower inserter eventually. Alright, that's like a tiny little base. Probably could have gone out much further than this. But this hopefully will be good enough, at least, that like nothing is going to go back and attack this when it could go here, which is much closer and more in their face. So that is set up, and we are getting artillery shells delivered. It's just going to take a while because they're pretty far away. If I'm going to do lots more drones on my next playthrough, I'm going to need to work out better ways of getting the buffers so that they always pull from very close. But that'll be a job for next playthrough, which is still quite far away. We have lots of stuff left to do in this first one before we get to that point. Alright, so up we go. Let's check out, see how much progress the rocket's made in the meantime. Oh, that'll be this being attacked. And it seems to have done fine. And it is now doing artillery turret stuff. You'll love to see it. Alright. So we go up here. We are still just cranking out the blue modules, although we do have a good number of other types of modules as well. Alright, so where were we? We were over here checking out our rocket fuel production, which I definitely should have set up like a whole thing for, and I should not have just crammed it in this tiny extra space. This tiny extra space in the petroleum gas factory, but it's fine. It's pretty temporary anyways. It's funny, because these are limited by the light oil, they all just instantly output simultaneously. Alright, so that is going. The light oil production could use some more light oil. And it's limited by fluid ingredients. So that seems like a job for productivity module 3s. So you get to be more efficient. I wish I could have drones load those up from out here instead of having to find some way to get in close around all these pipes. Alright, if we just do that, then we can sneak around this way, and that's probably fine. Where do my modules go? Here they are. Okay, we're like just barely close enough. Alright, so that should be fine. And we're definitely getting decent chunks of rocket fuel. We need a lot, though. So this is going to be a little bit scuffed. So we still haven't gotten one of these. We're missing... Why are we missing solar panels? I know for a fact, yes, we have 490 in logistic storage, and yet 0 have been delivered. Why is that? Where is our solar panel production? Oh, is it because... Do we just have hundreds of them in storage chests, but not in, like, provider chests? I bet that's what's happening. So that's going to be something we need to fix then in the future. Where is our solar panel production? I thought it would be here by that. Oh no, it's going to be over here, isn't it? And these have ingredient shortages because this got all messed up. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. We need to get both of these on one belt. So we need to do something like that. And then that. But I am going to have to head down there because there's stuff on the belts, which I can't pick up remotely. So let's run down there. Down we go, past all this stuff. Another massive loss of drones. Poor drones. They're somewhat expendable, unfortunately, for them. We have like thousands of them, and we can produce more at the drop of a hat. So as long as we're not losing like 100 drones or something, or it's like a regular thing, losing drones to like short-term attacks like that, where they're only attacking because of artillery fire, is fine. Alright, so we just drained that out, and solar panels are now being produced once more. Alright, so that will go along. And how fast are these? They are pretty dang slow. Alright, well now that solar panels are producing again, I can use my own individual stockpiles to finish that off. So we can head up here, because I do have some solar panels in my inventory, which I can just throw into that box. Let's see, where are we going? We need to head this way. Trying to navigate this is a bit tricky because everything, it's just a whole bunch of squares. But some of them look different, like the petroleum gas production is almost entirely, the entire square is almost entirely filled, whereas most of them are pretty sparse. So you can use that to sort of orient yourself a bit. That's still running. We head up here, and then we can just chuck 50 solar panels into that. And that should produce a satellite. No, we need 100 solar panels to make a satellite. That's a lot of solar panels. Alright, this is up to 60-some%. And the productivity module just got us a free bonus production there. So that's neat. Alright. Wait, can you module satellites? Yeah, so those are not an intermediate product apparently, so you can't productivity module them, which is sad. And I guess I mean, speed module is not the problem. Yeah, so you can do other modules, like you could put a speed module in there, but I mean, it doesn't make a difference, aside from just making it use more power, because we're just waiting on the resources, as opposed to having it produce. So that's going along, and I don't know why, I guess rocket parts, they're parts, so it makes sense that they're not intermediate. But the satellites feel like they could also be intermediate, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we could efficiency module them. Speaking of which, I just realized I have just never requested tier 3 efficiency modules to my inventory. And I'm stuck with all these guys. So you go away. You go away. And you give me a stack of those. Alright, so eventually I'll get a stack of efficiency modules, and then I guess I can put them in here to make this more efficient. Not that it really matters. Alright, so this is going along. Gosh, the productivity modules are so useful. Just anywhere you can use them. Just always use productivity modules. This is up to 70%. It's going pretty quick, honestly. So that's going along. Did you use beacons? No, I haven't really messed with them. And you can't put productivity modules in them either. So, yeah. Theoretically, they're pretty cool. Like, because you can have full productivity modules and then also like efficiency modules or speed modules or something. But yeah, it's the same thing here. Like just fitting them into my designs seemed like more work than it was necessarily worth. So I didn't do it. We are almost at a number of solar panels because we need 100. So we're almost producing these. And I guess you can be efficiency moduled, because might as well, right? And we have a satellite. Alright, satellite, check. Using beacons here if you keep launching satellites. Yeah, but like, the thing is that there's like what, speed modules and efficiency modules, and neither of those are really the problem here, right? Like this is just one assembling machine. It's not going to be using all that much power, and it's also not the speed of this assembly machine that is the issue here. You'd launch a rocket and call it a win, then get back to Street Fighter. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't know how long past launching the rocket I'm gonna go. I would like to get good, solid production rates of all the science, because currently we're very much like just limping along on mostly the old factory in terms of science production, and I want to change that. But other than that, I think made a multi-rocket base. Yeah, that sounds fun. And the update patch made it unplayable? Oh no. The struggles of playing in a game that gets updates. You haven't played since? Well, I mean it's pretty fun still, you know. I've heard Space Age is great. I'm gonna be getting it once I'm done with this game and then playing it for my second playthrough probably. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. So that might be a good reason to get back into it. Alright, so this is still going. And all of these are running seemingly around the clock. You're happy with just a familiar base game? Well, see, that's the fun thing of playing this for the first time, is that the base game is about as familiar as Space Age is. I mean, I guess on a second playthrough, the base game will be a bit familiar to me, but yeah, I'm super excited to try out Space Age. I've heard it's great, and I know basically nothing about it. Yeah, they're definitely... This is one of those games that's got a lot added to it, from what I understand. Like, I play Satisfactory a lot, and one thing that constantly gets mentioned is that they overhauled the fluid system in Factorio to be less annoying, and everyone in Satisfactory is like, why can't they do that in this game? So apparently the fluid system is a lot better now than it used to be, or at least a lot more convenient. It's always good when early access games are playable. I mean, there's some... Ooh, I almost got hit by that train there. That would have been bad. But we managed to get lucky and dodge it. Alright, surely this is 95%. Alright, we are absolutely getting there. And this is still just waiting on more solar panels, which actually I can give so that we have a second satellite in case we need that, which I don't know why we would, but there we go. And this is up to 98%. So it should be just like one more batch, maybe two. Yeah, I think 2 more batches, maybe? Because we don't have any bonus production charged up. Alright, 99%. So one more batch of rocket fuel, and then we will be off to the races. I am very excited to finally do this. It's been technically possible for me to do this for a while, and I've been putting it off. But here we go. This should be the last one. Oh. Oh, there's an animation. That's exciting. I do love animations. So it is going up. The art in this game is just so good. That's such a cool looking rocket. Alright, we're making another one. No cargo landing pad built on this planet. Ah, I see. That's something that we need. Fortunately, those are apparently quite cheap. So I could just manual craft that. I didn't realize I needed one, but I guess that makes sense. I have to have somewhere to put the outputs. Alright, so rocket capacity of satellites says it's 1. So I'm assuming we can't just pop another one in there. Alright, cargo landing pad almost done crafting. There we go. So now we find this in the giant mess of an inventory. Where are you? You're here. So you can pop down there. And now we have everything we need. Click launch, and off it goes. Ooh. That's fun. Fun animation. Up it goes. Oh, it's a tiny little rocket. Alright, rocket has been launched. And we have done it. And I guess just click continue. And we keep going. Alright, we got the achievement. Smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast. Launch a rocket into space. Huzzah. And we have done space science. So now this has 1,000 of those. Alright. So that is that. Rocket launch successful. Now, I assume you can, instead of just having this go into a box, I would assume that you can just, like, yoink that and send you just directly in to that, and it'll probably figure it out. Let's see here. Where is that satellite that I just picked up? You. There. So I can pop you in there, then you go along there, and then you get popped in. Very nice. So this is technically fully automated. It is egregiously slow, but it is technically fully automated. So we are making a whole bunch of rocket parts. And I wonder if you can, like, pick up the rocket parts and just, like, send them around, like, on belts and stuff. I feel like you're able to do that. So I don't know how. Anyways, we've got this. So that is rocket stuff done. And now we just have to get the science going. So, passive provider chest. Bulk inserter. Power it up. We now have science in the drone system. So we can head down to our research area, put in a requester chest, and get the white science down there. And then we'll be able to technically start doing that, although I want to finish the Spidertron research before we actually get into that. Before we get into that too much, but just having it set up so that we can say that we have it set up will be pretty neat. Alright, so now we are down here, and oh, I forgot how horrifically cramped this area is. We've got 50 million different things in here. So I guess we just go requester chest there, and put that, then this goes to request space science, and the drones should now be doing that. Now, how much space science do all these things need? So we go here to energy weapons damage. Okay, artillery shell range. This is a neat one. Requires like 2,000 of all the different types of science, and we got like 1,000 for launching a rocket. That is... Are they all just like that? No. Energy weapons damage is 1,000, so we could do that with the stuff we have now, although... Yeah, it looks like most of them are 1,000, and then just there are a couple 2,000s and a 2,500 sprinkled in there. Yeah, so we can get artillery shell range up, which will be very, very handy. That's the sort of thing which can help just make biters less of a problem. And I guess in the short term we might end up aggroing a lot more biters that we weren't otherwise, but the further away you can keep the biters, the better. Alright, so that is set up, technically. And did we actually... Before I walked away, I should confirm that some is actually getting delivered. So some is getting delivered. A lot of it, actually. And I don't know why it isn't showing up. Probably just slow. Yeah, so they have to... It's not exactly a huge coordinated process, but they are bringing that down here now. So we should have white science done. Alright, so now I guess we're going to start working on what we should have been working on ages ago, which is moving science production up to the new factory so that we can actually get through this in a reasonable speed. So I think we just have like a square for each of the sciences, and then I don't know how exactly will be the most organized way of getting them into research labs, because our squares are not really meant for more than like 4 inputs at the absolute maximum, and even then it's a bit sketch. But we can do the thing with multiple squares, or we can just use drones, I guess, for the last step. So we're going to run up here, which should be safe. I don't know how this artillery turret is out of Wi-Fi range, but it's fine because we have an advanced turret up there. Alright, so let's get... Actually, what are the recipes for these? The first ones are pretty easy. We have both of those. We're going to have to make those. Yeah, we're going to have to make a whole bunch of stuff for like all of these, basically. But we can at least get started with the easy one. Assuming I haven't done that already and forgotten. Seems like the sort of thing I might have done at some point. Just going to do a quick scan. No, there is no science production in the new base. Alright. Thought so. Alright, so this has to get all lined up. And we pop it in like that. Alright, so that all gets built. And we're just going to run around to make sure the whole thing gets set up. So random box out here with just completely random unnecessary turret box, I guess. That can continue to exist. Maybe it'll draw a random attack over to there instead of up to here. Alright, so we just need to... Can I just get all these stupid trees out of the way? We're going to be using this. Alright, our inventory is now going to be filled with infinite logs. Just absolutely ridiculous numbers of logs, and we didn't even get all of them that are in the square, but at least we cleared out sort of the main area. Alright, so that's all cleared out. And we're getting all of this in. We have to wait a little bit longer for another wave of drones to get the last little bit. But we should be able to just ignore that and start setting this up. So red science is copper plates and iron gear wheels. So you are going to be a copper plate input. And you will get... Okay, the train unloader V2 actually has all the stuff that I need to make this convenient. So that just snaps onto there. And click. So there we go. Do we need to build more of those? Apparently not. It hasn't shown up the whole you're missing them sort of setup. So we have that. Then we get another train unloader V2 down here, which goes there and is iron gear wheels, which I'm pretty sure I have, yes. Iron gear input. So there we go. Now we get the trains for these. So that goes in like that and gets set to the gears group. And off you go. Then we need a train for the copper plates. So we get that one in. It gets that and gets added to the copper plates group. Alright, what is all this? Attacks along here. How are they getting to there? It's not a normal place for them to attack from. They must be coming from down there and then looping around? That's weird. I mean, ultimately there are laser turrets there, so I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine as long as there are laser turrets there. Alright, so you can head off now. And return with the gear wheels that you need. And then we just need an output station as well. So we can head up to this one. This will be red science output, which we will then get just a regular loader like this one. Don't need the crazy fast ones, I don't think. Pop that in. Because ultimately, all of our science pack production is going to be limited by the slowest of it. So I don't think we're going to be able to create 20 billion white science, or even like purple science or anything, so there's no need to make 20 billion red science. However, we can, just as long as it's going to be easy, just slap down one of these and see what happens. Alright, the copper plates have shown up. Gear wheels shouldn't be too far out, although let's see here. Is that... no, that's not the input. Where's the iron gear output? Are you actually getting gears? Yes, seems like you just got a fresh delivery. Or no, it's just slow belts not running all the machines. Alright, we're gonna have to upgrade that, but it's fine. It's functional at least. It's not like it's completely broken or completely out of resources. It'll just take a bit. Alright, so these two center things are the inputs, and I don't think we need to use... yeah, so this is designed for 3 inputs, and we only have 2, so we don't have to use the outside input. We just have to figure out which one of those outside ones is the output and use those. Alright, got that, and then we've got this. Oh, how did you get there? That is obviously not good. Means that there are indeed holes in our defenses up here, and they aren't all getting distracted by that turret we set up out here. Although I don't know where they are coming from. If they aren't coming from up here. They must just be ignoring it for some reason. I don't know, let's just put in a random turret box like here. And then maybe that will distract them better. Hello? Oh. Drones from various parts of the factory got tasked to do that instead of my own personal ones. That's fine. They can do that if they want. So these, the furthest out ones are the outputs. So we just have to get this all lined up. And then get those in. That's not symmetrical, but let's fix that because it's so close to being symmetrical. I'm honestly, like, I'm fine with things being horrifically ugly, but I get very annoyed when things are almost but not quite perfect, you know? So let's get that all set up. And now we're just waiting on our gear wheels to make their way over here. Which, again, we should... yeah, let's first off upgrade planar those and actually spread that upgrade planar back to here and get that one belt in the middle that I missed. So that should let this drain plates faster and make gears faster, and it'll also let us be more efficient with more productivity modules. So I'm looking at that through the train menu, which is a bit weird. Alright. Or even, that's this here. Alright, so now we can just go in here, grab our modules, and boom. So now we'll be more efficient, which will mean we can use as many plates off of this belt as possible. There we go. It's also just, better to be more efficient with something like plates where we need a lot for other things. Alright, so now this is cooking along. And we just have to make this bottom row more efficient. And we're missing, like... Oh, you somehow got skipped, looks like. There we go, let's unskip you. And now we have what looks like mostly a full belt of iron gears coming out, and they're doing some weird nonsense. But the train is making its way over here, and our red science production can begin. Yep, there they are. And gear wheels go through, and production begins. I doubt we'll be able to even use all of these machines. Although I do think we can productivity module them, right? Can I just have drones do this? It's so much easier than having to run around and do it all manually. There. So now drones can go along and do that, and we're using a billion productivity modules. But that's what they're for. Gotta save on the copper and gears. And red science is now producing in larger numbers than we can ever deal with. This is apparently 0.13 a second after productivity moduling. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 36 of these. So that's what, 130, 390 is like. It's like 4-ish a second, which is probably more than we could ever use. Because the rest of this stuff is way more complicated. Like, getting 4 a second of utility science is going to be hard. But we'll see if we can actually get them all evened out. In the meantime, let's pop down another square and make the next type of science. And that can go in here, I guess. Just right next to the first one. Why do we keep losing stuff? Where does this keep happening? In there again, really. You're telling me that instead of going down here, they snuck... I guess they snuck all the way along this coast. And came along to here. Alright, that is a bit annoying. Let's see if I can set this up from a distance, actually. So if I just run a line of power up there, and then run those along up there, and then I can put in... Where is that blueprint? Oh, that blueprint never got put into that. So I have to go here, put you into there. Now, if I go down here and open up blueprints, I can put an artillery outpost somewhere in this general vicinity. And there's absolutely no possible way that they ignore this. I mean, if they try to ignore it, they'll just get zapped by the lasers anyway. And then the artillery turret will deal with the rest of them. Alright. And we need to have more artillery guns, apparently. So you can go into there. And then some drone will see that and take it all the way down there. So that should hopefully get that side of things secured. In the meantime, this square is still in the process of being built. We have plenty of available drones, so it is just travel time that's being a concern. Alright. This is basically done. This is basically done. So, we need transport belts and inserters, which apparently is just iron plates and copper plates. And we need to make some circuits in the meantime. We need to make all sorts of stuff in the meantime. So if we wanted to do this more directly, it would be iron plates, gear wheels, and circuits. And we have all of those, so let's just import those. So this can be iron plate input. What is that? More biters. Yeah, how are you guys just very, very clever at it, avoiding these outposts, it seems. Looks like they came down this way and then over. Alright. So in that case, let's just... maybe we can just, build a quick wall just here randomly in the middle of nowhere, and they won't be smart enough to go around it, hopefully. So let's get you in. I guess we can bring this all the way over to the coast. That's a perfectly good way of making sure that they can't get around it that direction. That's close enough to the coast that they're not going to be doing anything with that. And then we just connect that up. And then... is this whole line not powered? Yeah, that whole power line isn't actually connected to anything. That might be a problem. That might mean everything past that point isn't connected up. Must have overwritten this power line when I placed the square. Alright. Now we're good. Those are powered again. That box is not something that I've used. And then this turret is just chilling. Alright. So that's that. Mild crisis dealt with. Now we have this. What was I in the middle of? Did I name this one? I named that one. So I just need train unloader V2. And in it goes. So that is all set up. And I guess let's just give it a train. I'm still trying to figure out, what's the optimal order of setting this stuff up in. If it's more convenient to set up the trains first, or just do all the stations first. So this is iron plates, and set to automatic. And there's a fueling box in there, right? Yes, there is. So that will happen eventually. And then we go down here. We call this one gear input. And put in a train unloader V2. So in that goes. And connect it up to the rest of the power. Alright, so that is set up. And we just need to put the train in. So we get train, 1, 2, 3, 4 cargo wagons. The train gets set to the iron gears setting and set to automatic. And then eventually it'll be off and running. Oh, actually these are not properly stopped in the station, so they need to get a little bit of fuel first. Alright, apparently they're chewing on some rails, and they got through some turrets. Both of those are pretty worrying. Alright, yeah, what is going on? Where is this? Over here still. Yeah, okay, that's a problem. They're going to take out that drone port. Or no, they just randomly decided to... Alright. Now, if there's going to be lasers there, there need to be enough lasers to actually, like, defend themselves. So someone go and put, like, 20 lasers in that spot. And I don't even know what direction they're attacking from. It must be this way, because that's where the bodies are. Alright, so now that should be dealt with. And it's just these ones left. Alright, so yeah, they're coming around here. Actually, there's one just now. So, can I get a artillery outpost in that area? So if we just pop that in there, then it should be able to build that, and then that should be secure. Because I guess the artillery here is all the way up there, which doesn't really have reach into this area. Alright. Anyways, back to what we're doing. We got copper plate delivery, iron plate delivery, hang on. These don't need to both be copper plates. Wait, shouldn't neither of them be copper plates? Oh, geez. Have I been putting the wrong recipe in? Has it been just, like, renaming? Is V2 just set to name it to copper plates? That must be what happened. Alright, so that's a problem. Iron gear input. This one is iron plate input. So you have to do the naming after you put the unloader in. And then we're going to have to deal with all those copper plates somehow. So then this goes in there. And is going to be a green circuit input. And then we're going to have to drain all of those copper plates out, which is going to be easier said than done. I guess what we need to do is just... wait, I don't need a billion of those in a row. We just need to get them into some more boxes, like that. And how many? These aren't all full, right? So having these boxes should be able to fill them up entirely. And then we can even just make those like passive provider chests even, so that the copper plates from there will slowly just be drained out and do useful stuff instead of just sitting there uselessly. Alright. So those are all in, and the copper plate situation is being dealt with. Now let's put in the train for this. Wait, did I already do a train for this? I feel like I already did a train. It won't hurt to have an extra, just in case I forgot. And this is iron gears. Iron gears. And off you go. Yeah, now I'm pretty sure... Yeah, the train system is very complicated, but at this point it works pretty well if you don't mess up and give something the wrong name like happened here. But it is pretty complicated, but it works quite well. Yeah, it's pretty neat, because I mean, it basically just solves the problem of how you get stuff from one location to another. The train grids make it very simple and straightforward. Alright, you just stopped here and you're empty. Why did you do that? Do we have iron plate problems? We probably have iron plate problems. Alright, so this is filling up properly. That has got more than enough space to fill up if it needs to. Do we have another iron plate system over here? Yes, we did. And this one is just completely bricked, basically. It's not getting any iron ore over there. You do engine and both end trains, too. Like, two-directional trains? Yeah, that seems terrifying to me, just because I like to know exactly what my trains are going to do, and I don't like them going both ways on tracks. I like having different tracks that go in different ways. Alright, so this is still a work in progress. We'll get all of that unwanted copper out eventually. In the meantime, we need to actually do the production for this. So we need transport belts and inserters. So, plates, gear wheels, and green circuits. And then the other one is simpler, right? So this is just plates and gear wheels. Alright, so we need a row of this, which I guess we can just do there. That'll have plates. Actually, I think we want... Just trying to figure out how I want this laid out for most neatness. We have this line here, and this line here. Then they're on this side, so they can go over here to meet up with the green circuits for the other one more easily. And then the output will be on this line. Alright, then we have our other row here, which can also have the green circuits. So green circuits go in there, then their output goes in there. Alright, well, good news is the gears have shown up. Bad news is we didn't quite finish getting all the copper out first. So that kind of sucks. Can we use filters? Copper plates only. Set those filters across. And hopefully that will mostly sort that out. Some might get through, but we'll just have to deal with that if it happens. And we might even need more of these. No, the last one on here is still mostly empty, so we should be fine. Alright. So then these go over here, not running directly into a power line. It comes down here, loops around, then comes down here, loops around one more time, and then goes up into that. So, once the iron plates eventually show up, which it's weird that we're getting absolutely nothing over here when it should be doing better. Alright, what's going on here? We lost a radar. Oh, this never got finished. And also, I am dumb and forgot to even power it on. So that is a bit of a catastrophe. Hopefully those power lines could go in soon, and then once they're in, at least it'll be able to defend itself a little bit. Alright, it looks like the build time on those was pretty quick. Alright. So those couple of laser turrets are in. Now this drone port is charging up, and all of these can get queued up. So we should be secure over there now. As long as it doesn't get attacked within the next 5 minutes, which it probably will. Still, absolute failure of iron plates to show up. None to be found anywhere. And it's probably mostly because of the ore shortage. Like, we've had trains stop here, but they've always been empty. So that is unfortunate. Alright, so then we're just going to keep building this up and assume that it'll work itself out eventually. We take this belt over here and run it up there, and that'll be the green circuits, which also have not shown up, but should do so at some point. Now we just have to put all of the loaders and everything. So these inner two go into both of them, like that, and like this. And then like this. Alright, now this one gets an additional input over here. And then this one gets an output over here. I should really be using blueprints more. I could have massively streamlined this building process by using them, but I keep forgetting to do that. Alright, anyway, all those go in. And then we come down here. This is the transport belts. And then this one is the inserters. And now we just have to get power. How's that going to work? Alright, I guess like that. Alright, I think I could be more efficient with the power line placement here, but I've never cared about that once, and I'm not about to start. Alright, so that is all powered up, and should start working as soon as the rest of the resources get in. And then we just take these two belts and we merge them up. Well, not quite merge them up, but, you know. Send them together like this. Have them go facing the correct way. Along that way. And then we have an additional row of machines here, which will be the science production. Alright, so those all get the recipe. Then those last few belts go in. And inserters. So all these inserters go in. And then we power it up. And we take the output. And yeah, it can go that way. And green science. Okay, apparently we need more power lines over here, because of course we do. Alright, so now we just take this, drag it up here, and change this station to green science output, and set up a train loader. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. That's the train unloader. We are looking for... I really need to delete some of these useless blueprints that I don't want to use. Let me just pop that in. Set up the balancers for a single belt of input. And there we go. So, if the proper inputs ever occur, then this will also be set up. Now, as for the ratios, 0.2 of each. This is 5 of each per assembler. So we don't need anywhere near these ratios, basically, is what you're saying. Or well, we can do way more science. We can do way more science production off of what we have here. So I guess let's do that. We can copy that and send it over there. And that is at least a little bit more. 8, 1. So 5 of these are 1. That's going to be 2. They're like 2.4. 2.4 is pretty good. So I'm happy with that. And then we just have to wait for the plates to actually show up. Which there is one on the way. We'll see if it's yet another empty one. It is indeed yet another empty one. Very cool. Thank you. And green science meanwhile, or green circuits meanwhile, just none of them have ever shown up here. Oh, we have a traffic jam. Alright, let's head down and fix that. We will eventually solve all the traffic jams in the world and live in a utopia of efficient trains. But apparently today is not that day, and probably not anytime soon either. Alright, so here is a traffic jam. I don't know if this is the traffic jam, but you... Oh wait, no, there's a train in front of you. Alright, you had... Oh, it's one of these little guys. Those tiny little signals need to go away because they make the trains think they can fit through when they can't. Yeah, okay, this is a whole giant mess. This train can move and solve the problem, probably. Alright, off you go. Probably just a little bit forwards will work. I'll take it another block just to be sure. And now you can go to wherever you were trying to get to. Have fun with that. It looks like this might have temporarily stopped the entire factory, which is not ideal, but we got it there. And I do not immediately see where the problem actually was. It's just hard to tell. This whole area is kind of a mess. It looks like there might... Oh. I'm surprised that I lived that. I apparently lived on like 1 HP. Yeah, there are a lot more trains around than normal. It looks like that stop might also be influenced by this one. Oh no, I just set you to manual because I was going to try to drive you out of the way. And that was not necessary. Alright, everything is getting back to normal, it looks like. At least around here, you seem to have fixed it. If there's some other secondary jam in some other intersection, I don't see it. Alright, everything looks good. Alright, so that is that. We're going to stop and let these resupplies show up real quick, just so that I can always have all the stuff that I need. And then we continue heading up here. So, green circuits. How are you doing? We have no copper wire. We are throwing 1 billion copper wire into trains still. So this is still going. It's just probably not quite as quick. And these boxes still have some. Just not as much. They just aren't being refilled. Then over here, this one is doing fine. This one is doing just fine. And making all the green circuits you could ever want. So then, why is this up here? Oh no, it did eventually get a delivery of green circuits. Very cool. And then the iron plates are still struggling. And that is unfortunate. So I did set this to have its priority set, right? Yes, it is priority 100. Probably along with 80% of the other things that use iron plates in the factory. So I think next stream is going to be yet another one of those good old let's find 1 billion more iron ore to try to get everything working. Feels like we've done that a lot recently. Again, I've definitely been a bit overambitious. Oh, we got an attack there. I've definitely been a bit overambitious on the scale of this factory, but I'm not about to give up now. We're going to just try to keep shoveling ore into it until it works, basically. And also we need to refocus on having better defenses, especially in the north where we've been expanding recently. I haven't been really compensating with new defenses, except for the sort of distant outposts, which are clearly not drawing as much aggro as I hoped they would. Alright, you guys get out of the way. Yeah, we have an artillery post right there, which I had hoped fighters would see and go after. But it seems like they might be a bit smarter than that and are going around it. So let's put a wall in and then put some power lines in and then put some laser turrets in. Alright, so we get just like 1 billion of these. And that should cover I guess just expand that wall out 2 more so that it is technically connecting with that, and That should be secure. Alright, so I think that will be good enough for now. They could, like, sneak around this corner. Like, if they go down into here and then over either direction. But that seems really unlikely. I mean, it's... I thought it would be really unlikely that they would get past this to begin with, but apparently I was wrong about that. Oh, wait. Is that... Alright, no. Those guys came down here, and then they got aggroed by the turrets. So that is working as intended. Might want to expand that out a little bit to the east, because they sort of caught the corner of that wall. So let's head over there and do that, and then I think we'll wrap up the stream. We've made a lot of fantastic progress here. We have finished, technically, the game. We have launched the rocket. So we are now just working on just post-game science stuff. Okay, so that wall can go over there. And then I guess we'll have gates on there so that we can walk through that path if we need to. And then get some turrets. So turrets go like that. And then we need drone access here so that it can be repaired as it takes various attrition. Because, like, those biters did chip away a little bit at it. Alright, if we get there, then we can connect all of the drones up. And hopefully that will be secure enough. Yeah, so I think we should be fine. We should be fine here. Oh wait, that wall doesn't have a corner there. Let's put a corner in. I don't even know if they can get through corners like that, but just to make sure. But yeah, we made lots of good progress today. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun chatting with you. And I will be doing Satisfactory tomorrow. And we'll be back to Factorio on Thursday. So if you are interested in any of that, make sure to stop by, and I will see you guys then. Make sure to follow if you haven't already, and bye.